Welcome back.
Die by the very weapons you adore!
And yes, we have immediate retros. Privateer has this habit of throwing combat missions straight at you with ships that almost spawn in weapons range. This is not a good thing because it also has this strange idea that Origin had back in the day that your ship should have a cruise speed which they launch at and you had to increase your speed to maximum for combat. I don't know why Origin thought that you would ever want to be travelling at less than your maximum speed as a default, since it is the obvious correct speed to do evasion at. Though actual head-to-head fighting you may wish to use a different speed. If you notice a lot of my Wing Commander 3 fights, I flip between maximum speed and 0 on relatively regular occasions. I would be doing the same thing here, except for the fact that my joystick binding keys for Wing Commander 3, which have max and 0 speed on them, don't work in Privateer. And
can it be? Has the god of man abandoned us?
I don't know if there are actually maximum speed keys for this engine at all. Even the plus and minus keys on the number pad don't work to increase and decrease speed. You have to use the ones on the number row, which is very annoying because I am not at all used to using those. And also, since I keep moving house at the moment, I have no idea where my keyboard actually is in relation to my joystick, so for a while I spend time looking at it rather than being able to actually fight. All of which explains why it took me a while to actually start shooting at the retro rather than flying a random evasive pattern and increasing my speed, which is what I actually did at the start. Anyway, we have 2 more missions to complete in this flight before I can land. That was the first one, to defend Helen. Now, this is not a mission, this is a trick that Vadintarov mentioned in the thread. You can find out what faction a ship belongs to by communicate with it. That talent belongs to the militia, whereas this one is a pirate and will therefore have to be shot at. Not that I didn't really know that anyway, one of my missions was to defend his base from a pirate. One thing I have somewhat realised is that I can be a lot freer with my use of torpedoes than I am in the standard Wing Commander games. This being because in Wing Commander 3, each of your missiles you really want to count, you don't want to miss with more than one of them. Whereas here I've got 10 missiles and likely 3 or 4 enemies per mission. There's no reason why I can't use several on one fight if I want to, and it will in fact be more economical than repairing the damage caused by not doing so. But it's quite a hard reflex to get over, and I don't want to get over it that much because we've got Wing Commander 4 up in not that too distant future. So, and that's definitely a game where you want to be using your missiles effectively. You'll have noticed that in this particular sequence I seem to have been primarily interested in painting the enemy fighters red on the damage display rather than killing them. I can assure you this wasn't actually intentional, that just seemed to be what happened. I guess that's arguably good piloting by the AI if I thought they were doing it on purpose, which I do not. But it was rather irritating at the time in the sense that
this crate's about to explode!
Took rather longer than it really had to. Still no real damage, or apparently no real damage. The thing is that I always seem to have around 1,000 credits of damage to stuff. But my shields don't go down very often, so I don't seem to take very many hits, yet even so, I don't really understand how the damage model works in Privateer. Maybe I'm just missing losses, but I don't tend to have much armour missing, despite the fact that my manoeuvring thrusters always require 500 credits of repair at the end of each mission. Personally, I suspect cowboy mechanics, but what can you do, eh? One thing I have noticed during this series of fights was that I'm using practically none of my energy reserves. I can be firing mass drivers constantly without actually getting anywhere into them. So there's something of a debate going on in the thread about whether or not to upgrade my shields, but if we don't do that I should probably get some more powerful guns, given that I insist on using them and don't use missiles as heavily as I ought to, them having more firepower would probably be good. Anyway, this is the last of my 3 fights and has been brought to a successful conclusion. So, landing on Hector this time, which is just here for no other reason than the fact that it is just here. So thanks for watching. I've been Helen, this has been Wing Commander Privateer.
Now entering an automatic landing zone.
And I will see you next time, which might even be a Wing Commander 3 video, you never know.